to No Movies in Hell. I'm Chris Geiger.
I'm McCall Scott, and today we are reviewing Drive My Car.
Which is Oscar nominated in a couple
Yes.
categories.
Best Picture, Best Director,
Best Adapted Screenplay.
Adapted Screenplay. I think there's one more.
Best International.
Yes, from Japan.
Can you win Best International and Best Picture?
That is a great question. I think it has happened before.
All right.
Oh my gosh. Was that Roma? Possibly?
Oh, you know what? Maybe. I didn't really like Roma that much. I mean, it was good, but I didn't like it that much.
I liked it. I liked it a lot. In fact, even though it was on Netflix, I went to Alamo to see it in a 70 millimeter.
Oh, wow.
I wasn't sure what to expect, but yeah. What's that?
Now, did you like Fellini's 8.5?
Oh man, that was a long. I liked it from what I remember. This is a while ago.
Okay. Like those two movies make me think of each other. So if you liked Fellini's 8.5, then which I felt like was probably when it came out, it was probably really impactful. But now it's like
it wore off. The impact wore off.
Yeah, that happens, right? Like things are revolutionary when they come out, and then just like Star Wars, right? Like if you saw Star Wars now, you'd be like, what's the big deal? But when you see it, like when you saw it when it came out, it was this amazing thing that no one had ever seen before.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. Star Wars, if it came out like today, I think I'd still be impressed. If Roma came out today, I would still be impressed.
All right. I mean, it's still a good story. Like,
yes.
But I don't know that it would be as impactful as it was back then.
Yeah. What was that? 2018, I want to say. Yeah. There's a lot of things going on too. But I guess I digress. I wonder if Drive My Car will be one of those movies where in a couple years will people think of it as, I feel like it's critically acclaimed right now. Like a lot of critics really love this film, but I don't know if mainstream, like if it'll get the praise that some of the other films that are nominated will be. Is it commercially viable? Probably not. But it's something special. It's just really, I just don't know how to describe this film. I like it a lot, but I was like waiting for you to see it because I was just like, okay, I wonder what Chris is going to think of this. I like it. There's some elements of it I don't like, but it's just weird. It's almost like in that Napoleon Dynamite category of, well, not to the extent of like I don't like it. I like it, but I just the subtleties of this movie I can't describe.
Wait, did you not like Napoleon Dynamite?
Oh no, I love that movie, but it's polarizing. Okay. Like either people really like it or really hate it. And Netflix had I think I've read a case study where Netflix had a very hard time of determining if somebody liked this film or like hate watched this film. So it would mess up the algorithm for folks who had it in their had favorited it. So it was like an indicator that, quant isn't 100% successful when it comes to machine learning because people either strongly like this film or like strongly hated this film. And then there was the, hate watch the film or guilty pleasure part of the film. But no, I completely like this film. It's just, I've never seen anything like it before. There's some elements, but I think it's good. It could have been shorter.
Could have been shorter. 3 hours is a big commitment. I mean, not that I've given 3 hours, of course, to other movies that were much worse. I can't.
Yes.
My time isn't quite as valuable as I'd like to think it is. But this was really interesting in the way they split it up, because it was almost like 3 stories.
Mm-hmm.
And the main character at the end is not the person that was the main character at the beginning.
Yes.
And I thought it could have ended 2 minutes before it did. It should have ended 2 minutes before it did. I definitely felt like the section before he goes to Hiroshima is its own separate thing. And they even showed credits on his drive to Hiroshima.
Oh, so, yeah, like 40 minutes into the movie.
Yeah. Which to me is an indicator that the director knows, okay, I should put some important people up here because not everyone's going to stay after this movie to see who all worked on it. But it also indicates that, like, I guess they had a different crew for the Hiroshima part. Story was great. The character development was great. It could have been shorter, but I'm not sure it could have been that much shorter because you need that slow development to get to where you are in the end.
Yeah. Oh, well, I thought of one particular moment where it could have been shortened was, or condensed or used in a different way, was when the main character and the lead actor were in the driving in the car back to the hotel, and it was just this very long monologue scene in which the actor was retelling the story of the director's wife and what he finished her story or retold her story. And I was just like, this was so long.
I like that part though. Like, to me, that was one of my favorite parts of the whole movie. To me, where it could have gotten shorter is they spent so much time driving from Hiroshima to her hometown. And they didn't say anything for the most part. Like, it was just various shots of them him sleeping or her like being tired driving. Like, we could have done without a lot of those.
Yeah.
But
you just got a scenic view.
Yeah. I thought the interaction with the main character and the younger actor in the backseat of that car, like, I thought that was great because it really shows the character. There are a lot of things you don't understand about him until that scene. Like, he knows his wife cheats on him and he doesn't ever confront her about it. In fact, he avoids confronting her about it. And you don't know why. You suspect, but you don't really know why. Like, he could maybe have had his own affairs previously, or, but in that you kind of learn, like, it does really hurt him that she has these affairs. He wants to hurt the younger actor, and he tells him, she's had other affairs besides you. And it's almost a role reversal because the younger actor is very kind in that conversation where he tells him, like, first of all, he doesn't withhold the story from him, which he totally could have. And he never comes out and says that he slept with her, that they had sex. And he also says, she's a lovely woman and you should be glad that you had 20 years with her. Like, he's very kind to the older guy, even though he knows that this guy really just hurt him.
Yeah.
Which is
weird. It's bizarre. So it's also like this younger guy is trying to like get in the good graces of this director, knowing that he had an affair with his wife, director's wife. So for me, just knowing like this person, like, he went out of his way to like audition for the role. He got it. He had his own fall from grace from the public eye. And then now he's trying to get in like the good graces of the director, and the director's kind of like toying with him in a way of like making him feel inadequate and making him feel like he's a problem. But at the same time, it's it's one of those things of, I felt like the younger actor was holding on to something that, holding on to someone and something that like supported him when he was like a big star, and he had his fall from grace and he clearly has issues, but like he wants that one thing to help him kind of center himself. And the director, like, yeah, he's being nice about it, but he kind of wants to be over it. And the last thing he wants to do, which we call like the Chekhov's gun, which literally is in there, but then figuratively, he ends up taking over, like he does the thing that he doesn't want to do. He ends up taking over the role at the end because it's about his life. So it's like everything comes full circle, where it's like he went through all this to accept this young person, to torment him. And then, the younger actor kind of repents. And then he's back in the situation where he is the star of the show. If the director's wife was having an affair with this younger guy and she shared all the stories with him, could there have been a way that he could have manipulated the story because he knew the type of like cadence and delivery that she had with some of the other stories? So it's weird because it's like, I want to believe him, but then also he has this like sordid past and he like commits a criminal act. So it's just like, does he know how to like get underneath the director's skin to have him care about him so that he has like kind of like a last resort effort, and then he messes that up anyway? It's a lot of psychology that I would have never thought. I was like, oh, this is going to be a slow burn, whatever. And I'm like, no, actually, this is like a true character study of a lot of people involved with, not a single event, but like things that, have happened over the course of time. And then it's like, that is another plot outside of just the driver and her story.
Right. Which seems to like be the third movie.
Mm-hmm.
And she almost seems, in the beginning, when you are introduced to her, it almost seems like she's on the spectrum. That she has no outward emotive, which is interesting, right? As an actor, like, how do you, did they hire someone who is on the spectrum to play someone who is on the spectrum, or is someone who is used to being very emotive in their job specifically being asked in this role to not?
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting. It was a long time though. I mean, it was well over 2 hours before she started to do her own reveal.
Yeah.
Even at the dinner that she was invited to, it wasn't really after she got to see part of the play when they did it outside that she started to come out of her shell a little bit. So that was interesting to see. And then you find out, like when you initially meet her, like, we're going to find out where that scar came from.
Yes. Yeah. I immediately was like, okay, we're going to know where the scar came from. She had kind of like, her attire was pretty, not like basic in a sense, but like pretty tattered. And so I was like, oh, maybe there's some trauma, but unsure, because I'm like, you never really see women drivers. And so we're probably going to see some type of story. And I wonder where it's going to go, because it, like, you just never know where it's going to go. Her treatment probably is very much treated as a driver, not very involved in this person's life. It's just kind of like your regular Uber driver, but she's been assigned to this person for the duration of his stay at this film, or not the film festival, but his play, the run of his play. So it's like he takes the time to get to know her from having dinner with the director of the organization, and even that scene is kind of a little uncomfortable because it seems as though she's not socialized in a way that you have dinner with people, they have pets, and it's like her first time probably, interacting with a dog. And then reading or listening to him rehearse these lines and wanting to contribute or asking questions about this, or even like the smoking part where it's like she needs to smoke outside in a way, and then it becomes she's able to in the car, and he has like a rusty car. Like there's so many layers to this movie. I really enjoyed it.
I did too. I thought it was great. And I'm so glad that we saw it in the theater, because I was afraid that we were going to miss it in the theater and we'd see it streaming somehow. But I'm really glad we got to see it in the theater. Let's talk about the ending.
Yes.
So I wanted it to end with the Vanya scene.
Mm-hmm.
And then it went on. And I guess it was only like another maybe 3 minutes of movie, but it was so confusing because now we've gone beyond spoiling at this point, but now she's in Korea.
Yeah.
And she's has done something, like the scar has been minimized. So she's either like paid to have like whatever the doctor told her they could do, or she's wearing makeup. Either way, she's doing something to like enhance her appearance, which she was not interested in doing previously, it seemed like. And she has a dog, and she has his car.
Yeah.
So, and she's dressed a little bit nicer. So it seems like she's a little bit more affluent. She has his car. She's in Korea. Like, so many questions I have. Like, how did all that happen? Would this have answered questions if it had been a 4-hour movie?
Yeah. Yeah, it is a third movie on its own. I have a feeling that maybe she's still his driver, and maybe he took his play somewhere to Korea, because his whole thing was like trying to get into the international festivals so that he can perform his show. But it seems as though like their respective tragedies kind of brought the best out of each other. So maybe there was a way to leverage like one, partnership, but two, like learning from the stage director and his wife of like going to Korea and having an amazing time. They had like Korean food and taking that show on the road with the same like people. So that's what I thought. I was like, oh, well, maybe it was just super successful, and like this is the next step. And she's coming out of her shell. She got the dog, she has the car, and like while he's in rehearsal or whatever, she's kind of being independent, because it seemed as though she was very much, her role as the driver, the director of the organization had gotten her this job, and he touted that she does her job very well. And that was about it, which I thought between the connection with him, his wife, and her getting a role, I was like, oh, I thought for sure that the driver and him had some type of connection, but it wasn't the case.
Yeah. Especially when he said, she's an excellent driver. We hire her every year.
Mm-hmm.
Because she has a job, I guess, when the festival is not happening, driving garbage trucks.
Yep.
So I don't know. It just seemed like you don't have to tack a happy ending on for this audience. This audience who just sat through 3 hours of character building is going to go with you if you end it on like that, final scene, Uncle Vanya, look, we just have to keep going. Life is suffering. It'll be all right because God will recognize that you did all of this while you were alive. Let's end it there. We don't need the happy ending tacked on it. Like that's, it's almost like, oh, well, they don't trust us to be okay with the unhappy ending.
Well, I guess they don't trust us with not knowing about like a character that they developed, and essentially she wasn't part of the play, which I thought maybe that they would involve her in the play somehow, understudy, who knows. No, it was just kind of like, okay, this is where it ends for him, or maybe this is where he gets his satisfaction. And then for her, we would have really been left out of the dark in terms of her development after them going to her hometown had we ended at the closing of the play.
But she went to the play, like she
did.
watched it. And so that messaging would have come to her too. Like the life is suffering, like we just have to keep going. So I think I would have been okay with like her accepting that message as a theater goer and not knowing what she did with it after that. I'm okay with like a lot of movies that end with ambiguity. Like, because to me, that's the way life is. Like you meet people, they go out of your life. You don't know whatever happens to them. Like you're just like, well, I'm sure they're fine.
Maybe we got a special US ending. Who knows?
I do want to see Uncle Vanya though now.
Hopefully there is like when it comes to streaming or something. Oh, there is?
Yes, there's a 2020 release of a staged version of Uncle Vanya that Connor McPherson did. I looked it up. It's on Netflix. It's like you can find it like pretty easily. Maybe it's on YouTube. I can't remember, but I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch Uncle Vanya now.
Yeah, very interesting, beautiful film.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have anything to plug in this episode?
No. Wait, are you gonna do the charts?
Oh my God, I didn't do the slides. Stand by.
Okay.
Okay, so we only give it a 23. I feel like though,
I mean, for me, I was like, I thought in terms of like, obviously the acting category was great. Cinematography was amazing. I just thought like in terms of the production quality, it was very minimalist for me. Very like pared down. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. And I just thought it's a very simplistic in feel, but very complicated when it came to a lot of the storytelling and the interactions and some of the other things, that elements of the film that we called out.
Yeah. It's interesting. You gave it a Raiders Trace 2 and a story 2.
I did. So I think for me, it was very long. And it took, there's so many subtleties that I think when I scored this maybe sometime last week, I just needed to break down kind of the connections and where the director was going with a lot of the story. Like, I wish that there were more character development of the driver, because I felt like she had a very interesting story. And it's so that, that leads me to like the very end of like, I'm happy to see that she's in a better place, because it seemed as though like, one, that there was going to be some element of abuse due to like kind of her interaction with others. And then as she warmed up, she started to share, her story and show the main character, the director, like where she came from and like how she had to escape and like her guilt and all these things. And then kind of like that happy ending. The way that they framed his wife was kind of weird. Like, and even their past about having a daughter that they lost, and him like having up this bottle of rage because they were both at one time like writers, and she won an award, and then she ended up working for a large corporation, and then she was able to have her art on display for everybody to see, and then she was involved in casting decisions, whereas he was like still a struggling playwright. Yeah, I was a little, that was where I was just like, oh, well, this is a revenge story, yes, in some ways, but then it's also the realization of this guy trying to cope with his life. And Uncle Vanya, right? Uncle
Vanya. Yeah, that's true. All right. In those extra 5 minutes to think, do you have anything to plug?
Oh, nothing to plug. I'm curious to see how I guess the Academy is responsive to this film. It's good.
Yeah, I agree. It'll be interesting to watch the ceremony this year. I need to put that on my calendar. I've not done that.
Me too. For March something.
Yes, it's in March, which hasn't always been in March. Didn't it used to be in February?
Yeah, it used to be in February. Like the second or third.
It was usually 2 weeks after Super Bowl.
Yep.
Because I remember distinctly because I used to buy TV advertising, and I remember you could always buy the Super Bowl. You could buy 2 packages in February. You could buy the Super Bowl package and you could buy the Oscars package.
Nice. Yeah, that might have changed as of last year due to COVID.
Oh, all right.
Do you have anything to plug?
I do not have anything to plug this episode. So we will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.